What if Abraham didn't come from Mesopotamia at all, but from the mysterious highlands of the Caucasus, where ancient nobility once walked the earth? Could the legends of gods descending from the mountains, the rise of Aryan civilization, and the biblical sons of God all point to one forgotten origin story? Find out as we explore the Torah, science and history, and ancient legends together in this teaching by Avraham Emuna. This video teaching is being sponsored by Kabbalah Theological Seminary, a place where you can discover the science and wisdom of authentic Jewish Kabbalah, a spiritually esteemed school of truly higher learning. Visit their website at kabbalahseminary.org for more information. The story of Abraham stands as one of the central pillars of the biblical narrative. Traditionally, Abraham is seen as emerging from ancient Mesopotamia, specifically from the city of Ur in southern Iraq. But what if this understanding is incomplete? A closer examination of scripture, geography, mythology, and scientific research suggests an alternative theory. Abraham and the early post-flood civilizations may have originated from the Caucasus region. The infamous flood of Noah may have been a cataclysmic but localized geological event tied to the formation of the Black Sea, with Noah's descendants migrating from the Caucasus into surrounding regions. This teaching reassesses the early biblical narrative through a biblically faithful, scientifically grounded, and historically informed lens. Genesis 6:8 describes a flood so massive it appears to engulf the entire world. Yet the Hebrew phrase, often translated as the whole earth, can also mean the entire land, suggesting a regional, not global, scope. This perspective aligns with the Black Sea Deluge hypothesis, a scientific theory proposed by geologists William Ryan and Walter Pittman. According to this hypothesis, around 5,600 BCE, the Mediterranean Sea breached a natural land barrier and poured violently into the Black Sea basin, flooding over 60,000 square miles of land in a matter of months. Archaeological findings support the idea that Neolithic settlements once flourished in what is now the Black Sea. These cultures disappeared suddenly and without explanation, possibly due to the devastating flood. Additionally, nearly every ancient civilization from Mesopotamia to China, Greece to India contains its own flood myth, suggesting a shared memory of a massive regional disaster. After the flood, Noah and his sons are described in Genesis 9:10 as repopulating the earth. The traditional Mount Ararat, where the ark is said to have come to rest, lies within the Armenian highlands near the Caucasus Mountains. This region is not only geographically fitting, but also supported by genetic, linguistic, and archaeological evidence as a crossroads of early post-Ice Age migrations. The northeastern region of the Caucasus, extending into modern Russia and parts of Eurasia, appears to be a likely origin point from which Noah's descendants spread out. Genetic and archaeological data strongly support this area as one of the main launching points for post-flood human migration. From this mountainous hub, the descendants of Noah dispersed. Ham moved southwest, settling in the Fertile Crescent and eventually down into Egypt and Africa. Japheth traveled northwest and west, giving rise to the Indo-European peoples of Europe, including the Greeks, Romans, and other maritime cultures. Shem moved eastward, potentially populating regions that would become Persia, Central Asia, and even China. This aligns with the biblical designation of Shem as the father of all the children of Eber and the people of the East. Scientifically, it makes sense that Shem's descendants would have followed migration routes north and east of the Caucasus, through Russia, Siberia, and into Mongolia and China, helping populate the broader expanse of Asia. In the Vedas, the word Arya means noble, upright, or spiritually refined. These Aryans were remembered as bringers of language, law, and sacred order. Modern linguistic and archaeological studies associate them with Indo-European migrations from the Eurasian steppe near the Caucasus Mountains from the heights of the north. Their nobility was not racial but cultural and spiritual, those who upheld divine order. This idea finds deep resonance with the biblical line of Shem in Genesis 9:26. Noah blesses Shem with a spiritual inheritance. Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem. Shem's lineage is not only associated with geographic migration, but with moral and spiritual elevation. This line produced Abraham, who received a unique covenant to bless all nations. Abraham himself is called HaIvri, the one who crossed over. Not only did he cross geographically, crossing over the Caucasus Mountains into the valleys of the Near East, but also spiritually. choosing to follow the creator God of truth rather than the idolatry of surrounding nations. When he fathered 6 additional sons through Keturah, he sent them eastward to the land of the east, likely back toward the ancestral Shemite regions. This reinforces the biblical association of the east with Shem's legacy and spiritual mission. This concept of noble, spiritually aligned peoples across the earth reaches a climax in Psalm 47:9, which reads, "The nobles of the peoples are gathered together, the people of the God of Abraham, for the shields of the earth belong to God. He is greatly exalted." The Hebrew phrase Nedive Amim, nobles of the peoples, directly parallels the ancient idea of the Arya, the noble ones. Here these nobles are not bound by ethnicity or geography, but are unified by their connection to the God of Abraham. This verse powerfully affirms that true nobility is spiritual, and that the protectors and leaders of the earth, the shields, ultimately belong to God. Thus the memory of Aryans descending from the highlands may reflect a deeper spiritual truth, the emergence of Noah's descendants, especially Shem's line, from the Caucasus, carrying the moral and divine legacy that would culminate in the Abrahamic covenant. Genesis 6 describes the enigmatic sons of Elohim, Benai Ha-Elohim, traditionally interpreted as divine or angelic beings. Yet a compelling interpretation sees them instead as the spiritually elevated descendants of Adam through Seth, endowed with the neshama, divine soul. These were noble humans living in righteousness before God, and were perceived by other, less spiritually developed peoples as divine. When these sons of God intermingled with the daughters of men, the spiritual line was corrupted, leading to widespread violence and immorality, the ultimate cause for the flood. This theme mirrors the Aryan-Shemite model. The sons of God came down not from heaven, but from the heights of moral and spiritual wisdom, descending into lower, more carnal civilizations. In many cultures, this descent was remembered mythologically as gods coming down from mountains, Mount Olympus, Asgard, or other high places. Such myths may preserve dim recollections of the actual historical and spiritual migration of Noah's line, especially Shem's, into the broader world. Abraham, as the chosen heir of this line, re-establishes the mission of the sons of Elohim, a return to righteousness, justice, and covenant. His journey from the highlands into Canaan is both literal and symbolic, a recrossing into the spiritual heartland of God's plan. Genesis 11:31 tells us that Abraham, then Abram, left Ur of the Chaldees with his father Terah and family to settle in Canaan. Most scholars have associated this Ur with the ancient Sumerian city in southern Iraq. However, problems arise with this theory. The Chaldeans as a people only appear in historical records in Babylon from the 9th century BCE, long after Abraham's time. Abraham's route in Genesis has him dwelling in Haran before moving south, which fits better with a northern origin. The term Ur may simply mean city or settlement, and Kasdim, Chaldees, could reference a region north of Mesopotamia, possibly linked to names in the Caucasus. There are several modern and historical locations in the Eurasian steppe and Caucasus region with names beginning with Kaz or Kars, such as Kazman, Kazbek, and Kazakhstan. While not definitive, these parallels open the door to reconsidering Abraham's true homeland. His title, HaIvri, the Hebrew, literally means the one who crossed over. This could be taken not just spiritually, but geographically, crossing over from the northern Eurasian steppes into the land of Canaan. Haran, the intermediate stop between Abraham's birthplace and the Promised Land, lies in modern-day Turkey, near the Syrian border. This location is geographically southwest of the Caucasus, suggesting that Abraham and his family were migrating from the north rather than from the south of Mesopotamia. This route matches well-established trade paths used by early pastoral nomads and aligns with Genesis's account. Abraham's deliberate choice to journey into the land of Canaan, rather than follow other Semitic peoples eastward into Central Asia, marks a significant civilizational pivot. It is from this choice that the biblical narrative begins to narrow, focusing not on the broad movements of peoples, but on one man and his descendants. By reassessing the biblical text in light of archaeological, geological, mythological, and genetic evidence, a new picture begins to emerge. The flood of Noah may have been a localized but devastating real-world event, likely the Black Sea Deluge. The post-flood migrations described in Genesis align with known migration patterns from the Caucasus region. The northeastern side of the Caucasus, what is now southern Russia and parts of Eurasia, was likely the central origin point from which Noah's descendants spread to the rest of the world. Shem, as the father of the peoples of the East, likely migrated through Russia and Mongolia into China and the broader regions of Asia. Abraham's origin may lie not in southern Mesopotamia, but on the northern side of the Caucasus Mountains. His title Hebrew likely refers to a real, physical journey, a crossing from the Eurasian world into the Levant. Abraham sending his other sons eastward reinforces the Eastern Shemite identity of his non-Isaac descendants. Psalm 47 confirms that the nobles of the earth, the spiritually elevated among the nations, are those aligned with the God of Abraham. This mirrors the concept of ancient Aryan nobility as a reflection of moral and divine mission. The ancient memory of the sons of God descending from the heights may be a preserved echo of Noah's line, a spiritually noble people who came down from the highlands of the north to reintroduce divine knowledge to the world. This interpretation respects the integrity of the biblical text, while incorporating the best of modern science, archaeology, and historical geography. It offers a compelling, grounded vision of our spiritual and civilizational roots, one that starts not only in faith, but in the highlands where continents, cultures, and destinies converge. Thank you for watching. This has been a presentation of Avraham Emuna. The views expressed here are mine alone and are not meant to be an authoritative representation of any one religious tradition.